Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's a pleasure being here. And we're going to share with you some small little stories and not get involved in battles by any chance. It was always been a bane of contention as far as Pakistan is concerned, and it always wants the Kashmir Valley back, which is now administered by us. And then there is something known as Pakistan occupied Kashmir, which is in Pakistan. In April 65, that is the time when Pakistan wanted to explore our capabilities as far as our military forces are concerned. Therefore, they made an endeavor to come into the area of Rann of Kutch. Portion is the...
Next and with.
Can you see it? Yes. Now this is the border. Now, this is the Rann of Kutch, which is a part of our Gujarat state, and across is the Sindh province of Pakistan. In 65, this area was sparsely populated and it was very thinly held by the armed forces of our nation. So therefore, the Pakis thought that this is an ideal area where they can launch a limited offensive, test our capabilities, and become victorious. So on the 9th of April and on the 24th of April, they attacked at two of our positions. One was, on the 9th was Sardar Post, and the second one was Bihar Gate. They came here, they were repulsed, and they withdrew. They gained little advantage in this area of Bihar Gate, but finally, on the 30th of June 1965, with the help of the Prime Minister of UK, Mr. Harold Wilson, a ceasefire agreement took place. At the end of this, the Pakis thought that they were victorious and they therefore wanted to get back into the valley to sort out issues and reclaim what they lost in 47-48. Remember General Garewal spoke to you about the raiders coming in that time? Similar kind of a thing. However, at this juncture, they thought they were victorious, but we knew what the situation on the ground was, and we knew what they're going to do as far as the next step is concerned. And we started planning our offensive operations and our defensive operations at the strategic level. Operation Gibraltar. Like 47-48, in August 1965, the Pakis infiltrated between 5,000 to 30 to 40,000. These infiltrators included the army, the Razakars, and the irregular forces of Pakistan. And what was their aim or objective? To incite rebellion and sabotage the infrastructure. What does it mean? They had always thought that the Kashmiri Muslims in Kashmir will take their side when they launch operations into the valley. Thus, the first aim of them was infiltrate these people and then ensure a rebellion takes place in the valley with the help of the local populace. Please understand this because this is very important. It shows that how our local populace did not support them and not what they've always been thinking. And same is the case today too. The second portion, what they did was, they wanted to sabotage the infrastructure. That is, your tunnels, your bridges, your infrastructure, which was supplying the logistics as far as the armed forces were concerned. Now, an important detail of what I'm saying on that. Look at this point. There were two locals. One was in the area of Mendar, the other one was in the area of Gulbarg. Muhammad, Deen and Wazir Muhammad. They are the two locals who, when they saw the infiltration take place and they recognized that they are not from our side, they were suspicious about it and they went and reported this matter to the police station and the headquarters of the army brigade which was there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what our local population is all about. In the overall conduct of this Gibraltar, it was a failure. And why? The failure took place because of the actions by our own armed forces for counter-infiltration. The troops were brought in a very short span of time, and we were able to halt the infiltration columns which had come into the valley. Because of this, India then got provoked and counter-offensives were launched by us. These are some of the infiltration columns, and if you see the names of each, Tariq, Qasim, Khalid, Salaud, Ghaznavi, Babar, they have named on the Muslim leaders of their own. The counter-offensive by us then took place at two places. One, Haji Pir Pass, and the other one was at the Kishan Ganga Bulge. I will mention about Haji Pir Pass because of the valor and the grit of a gentleman known as Major Rajendra Singh Dyan. This, if you see the map, this is known as the Haji Pir Bulge. And this point here is the Haji Pir Pass, which is at 8,000 feet. This was the route of infiltration from Pakistan into the valley, and also the backup support of their logistics and supplies, which included arms, ammunition, equipment, etc., etc. Therefore, the reason for us to capture Haji Pir Pass. This is Haji Pir Pass, and I'll quickly give you as to how this little battle took place. The attack on this started on 26th at 21:30 hours in the night by one para. One para, children, for your this thing, is a battalion which has about 800 men. So this one para was tasked to capture Haji Pir Pass. On the way to Haji Pir Pass, there were three objectives which were difficult objectives. The first was sunk. They captured this by 0415 hours the next morning. So when did this start? Anybody? 26th at 21:30 or 9:30 p.m. Early hours at 0415 of 27th, they had captured the first objective. We come to the second objective, which is SAR. They captured by 0930 hours. They didn't wait. And they went to the third objective, which was Lady Wali Gali, and captured it by 11:30. So you can well imagine three objectives in the mountains being captured by one battalion in no time, from 9:30 in the night and by next day 11:30. So how many hours? 14 hours. Right or wrong? Okay. Now that was something which you looked at when heroic and valor, guts, determination, you can talk about it, of a battalion. And the men, they are tired. They reach the Lady Wali Gali by about 11:30, and this area up to Lady Wali Gali was in our hands by 1800 hours on the 27th. Now came the problem. And what was the problem? The battalion had already done 3 attacks. People were tired, but Haji Pir Pass was, the flag of Pakistan was still flying. Major Rajinder Singh Dayal volunteered when asked that he will push the attack and capture Haji Pir Pass. Now this was 1800 hours and beyond. The night was already coming in. That's the time when his brigade commander, Brigadier Bakshi, and this operation was known as Operation Bakshi, gave him permission. He had an ad hoc company with him. Ad hoc company means about 100 odd plus men with him. Now remember, they were tired, they had fought, they had lost lives, but Haji Pir Pass was there. Major Rajinder Singh Dayal led this company of his, and he had to negotiate a climb of 4,000 feet. At that time, it was raining. The hills were slushy, and it was a difficult move because of the weather, and also the worry was that the surprise which they wanted to achieve to capture Haji Pir Pass was not done away with. He led the column not from the expected route from which the Pakistanis thought we will attack. He led the way by climbing a difficult portion of the hill, and by 0800 hours on the 28th morning, he had reached the base of the Haji Pir Pass. And that's the time when the Pakis realized that something amiss is happening, and they opened fire. But Major Dayal and his men in platoon rods attacked, the Pakis couldn't take on because they never expected an attack from the area from where Rajendra Singh Diyal had gone. They left the post and ran away. By 10:30 hours on the 28th, Haji Pir Pass was captured. For this grit and valor, Major Rajendra Singh Diyal was awarded the Mahavir Chakra. This was, just to give you an idea, that attacks from the other places had also taken place, but I am not going to touch upon it. Having lost and not being victorious in Ran of Kutch, then Gibraltar, and then losing Haji Pir Pass, Pakistan had the last alternative, and that was to launch a major offensive, and that is where the war started. They came on with an objective to capture Akhnur, including the bridge. Now this is the border, this is Cham, and that is the Akhnur bridge. Now this Akhnur bridge was very vital to us because this was the route which we used to take for our logistics and the movement of our men. The Pakis surprised us with this offensive of theirs because we didn't expect it in that area of Chamjoriya. They launched this operation on the 1st of September. By second, third night, they had reached across the line of Cham. Then a little fiasco took place in their environment. Major General Malik, who was the GOC then, had to be removed, and thus there was a little lull in the battle and the momentum of the offensive decreased. That gave us time to reinforce this entire area, and we were able to block the offensive of the Pakistanis by about the 5th of August, and then came that short man of 5 feet 2 inches which General Garib has spoken to you about. That was Lal Bahadur Shastri, our Prime Minister. This is the first time that we went across the international border in the heartland of Punjab. That is where we must thank that Prime Minister. He listened to our army generals, and we started our offensive on the 6th of September. And for that, I will hand you over to Major Ladies Karan.